For today's marathon, Lucia Pietroiusti will read a text Jimmie has written called Berlin, which is a text about the garden. A very, very warm welcome to Lucia and to Jimmie.
Berlin, April 2000. On a warm, sunny day in early spring, I took a short U-Bahn ride and then a longer S-Bahn ride to the section of Berlin known as Moabit. Leaving the S-Bahn, I then had a long walk through a strange no-man's land that sometimes reminded me of the South Bronx, partly industrial, partly decrepit, gray apartment buildings. Herr Caradas had advertised the sale of some knives that I thought I might use in an installation I was working on, about the murdered banker Edmond Safras. Finally, I found his place, a combined apartment and second-hand store that seemed to specialize in knives, swords, and mirrors. Herr Caradas was frighteningly large, muscular in a military way and with thick, close-cropped black hair and beard. He was quite young, maybe not yet 35. Despite his name and his black hair, he did not seem Turkish. Rather than ask him, I decided that his father had been Turkish and his mother German. I did not find the knives that I needed, but there was a wall mirror with beautiful opalescent glass trim that I thought would look nice in my new apartment. Caradas and I had been speaking in a relaxed, friendly way, but when I asked him the price of the mirror, he became immediately angry. "I suppose you think it's about 50 Deutsche Marks, right?" I said that I thought that it might cost about 50 Deutsche Marks. 450, he said. It is handmade and an antique. I said that I would be glad in that case to offer him 100 Deutsche Marks, but no more, because I couldn't afford it. He became more angry. "I told you the price. Do you think I will haggle with you?" I looked at the mirror, more beautiful now because it was out of my reach, beyond my possession. I put forward my hand. "Herr Caradas, thank you for your time." We shook hands awkwardly, and I left. I decided to walk a different way back. The day was so beautiful, I thought I might find a quiet spot somewhere that I could sit and write. I had a pressing deadline for an article for a catalogue in connection with a project at the Villa Medici in Rome, but I was not willing to go back home on such a day. Moabit is close to the Tiergarten. A Tiergarten is an animal park, but not a zoological garden. The Tiergarten contains one of those separately. It is, I think, the equivalent of an English deer park, maybe originally a prison for animals, which could then be more easily hunted. There is an area called Little Tiergarten, and I headed for this. I've never been clear in my mind about what is a narcissus and what is a daffodil, but that walk in Kleine Tiergarten brought clarity. Daffodils watch merles, and narcissus do not. I do not know the English name of the small singing blackbird called merle. Only the song 24 Blackbirds Baked in a Pie. This time of year, the merles are constantly running along the ground, hedge to curb to just in front of you, looking for the first and freshest bugs. The daffodils are astounded by such ambition. The narcissi notice it not. I found a perfect park bench. There was a border of herbs. There was chiaroscuro sunlight, flowers, birds, and the river Spree was close by. No large animals. I guess the counts and dukes had eaten them long ago. As I began to write, I heard approaching footsteps. Looking up, I saw a pleasant-looking old woman smiling at me. She did not seem crazy or homeless, but neither did she seem well-placed. "Another strange person today," I said to myself. She said, "What a beautiful day. Are you a writer?" It is like the first spring of the world, isn't it? No, I am just someone who writes. Are you a writer? I asked. Oh no, she said. But if I were, it would not work out. My stories are too interesting. No one wants interesting stories these days. I do, I said, because I do not know what to write. Please sit and tell me something. I doubt you would believe it, but I will sit anyway. You are a good-looking man. Are you married? Never mind. The dead and rotten seed of my story is that I am from the Romanov family, which means that I am related to all the royalty of Europe, including your queen. I have no queen, I replied. People often look like what they are not, don't you find? I am not British, but come from the Americas. Why are you here? It is sometimes as though all of the world is in exile from an unbearable past event. Maybe you were a criminal. Do you know that Moabit has a large prison? She said this quickly, lightly, smiling. I am probably a criminal, but I am an artist, so I can live anywhere. I don't like to be at home. She smiled more. Yes, the anonymity of a large city is exquisite, isn't it? One can be a constant spy. I agreed. Then I told her about meeting Herr Karadas and the beautiful mirror. She said that the mirror must be Turkish, influenced by Venice. Mirrors have been used to bring light, she said, but the man you describe is like a driver. He uses mirrors to see who is behind him. I said that in prison, men use hand mirrors to see outside of their cells. They can hold the mirror out from between the bars. She was silent. I was pleased that she did not ask if I had been in prison. We both sat silently for a while. Look, she said, the person who planted herbs here had a good plan. Here, she picked a feathery leaf, is fennel. It keeps away evil spirits, and this, pointing a thin old finger, is rosemary for remembrance. I see sage over there, I said. It is my favorite herb. Sage is for strength and life, she said. Thyme is for courage. Marjoram brings joy to the dead, but I do not see how we know that. Which dead, I wonder? And what about basil, I asked. Ah, basil is also for the dead, especially for the murdered, and for sorrowful love. And lavender? Lavender is for the gardens of queens, Herr Karadas, and is thus the plant of caution. I picked a sprig of laurel and gave it to her. Pretend I gave you a rose, since there are none here, she said.